Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host Ariel, and we are here with the brilliant Joe Booe. Welcome, Joe.
How's it going, everybody? Glad to be back with you.
Yeah, to be back. So, Joe, um, one second. Go and turn this set off. Yeah, sorry about that. So, Joe, could you introduce yourself and what you do?
You bet. My name is Joe Booe, and I'm the lead singer for a handful of bands, and I do an awful lot of collaborations in the indie community. Then I've been the lead singer for Voodoo Mirage for a while. I was the founding member of it. I also sang for Rain of Fire, 7 months, Strychnine. Um, I have a ongoing collaboration project with Tom McElman called Boo McElman. I also do a lot of work with Steve Klatt. Same with Joe Boo and the Dog. I do a lot of work with Storm Kingdom, Justin, Whole 40. And I'm doing a handful of additional collaborations, one-offs, two-offs with a lot of other bands too.
Cool, cool. I've listened to two new songs from you. One is Redline, and the
Right,
other one is Serial Killer.
right.
So let's start off with Redline. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
You bet. Redline is the second song by my band with guitarist Ian Poole from Trickshot with the band Switchflame. We had released a song about 3 or 4 months ago called Running Out of Time. So this is the second song of a 12-song album that we'll be completing over the course of this next year. Ian is a badass guitarist. If anybody's familiar with Trickshot, they know Ian's chops. Great musician, great songwriter. So what he does is he'll send me music that he's already completed. I write all the vocals, all the lyrics and melodies, record all the vocals, send them back to Ian. He does a mix, sends them back to me. I do the mastering, and out the door they go. So Redline is kind of in the vein of Judas Priest, Desert Plains. Motorcycle song, guy heading out on a Harley, wind in the hair, free riding, smell of oil and leather, just badass.
Cool, cool. So Serial Killer. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Serial Killer is the second new song by another new band with it's called Burlos Brotherhood with Stephen Anderson of Burlos Band in Great Britain, Harrow and Frank Farrell from Australia. It's very
Oh, we lost sound again.
dog's barking. He needs to come out here with me, so.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'll deal with you. Lost sound for there for a second. Could you still repeat that a little bit?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Burlos Brothers. The second song is Serial Killer. We're planning on doing a complete album. It includes Stephen Anderson of Burlos Band, Harrow, who plays drums, and Frank Farrell, who is a bass player. They're both in Australia. So it's kind of an international project, recording only, but it's the second song that will be on an album by Burlos Brotherhood.
Cool, cool. So the two albums that you're going to be sort of like doing, or you're going to be part of,
Right.
could you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, Switchflame started with Ian Poole and I talking last year in the early parts of planning for Punk in the Corn, which was a big international indie festival in Davenport, Iowa, that was put on by Tim from EWL. Tim had kind of spearheaded the whole project, and Ian and I were trying to figure out a way for me to perform at the show, but all of my bands are in other cities or even other countries. So Ian offered to play guitar for me, and so he and I became friends. The more we talked, the more we really kind of wanted to do something together. So he told me, "Look, I play in a band that does a lot of '80s glam rock kind of stuff, and I've got a lot of songs that I've recorded that are more in a metal vein, which is kind of more my wheelhouse." He said, "Would you be interested in working on it with me?" I said, "Yeah, of course." He said, "I'll send you whatever I've got. You just pick and choose, from what I've recorded and see what you like." And I told him, "Look, I like it all. Let's do a whole album." So that's what we're doing. And the name came from the fact that Ian he's an electrician by trade, and I'm a fireman by trade. So Switch Flame. So but really loving the project. He and I have the Redline is the second song that we've released. We released Running Out of Time about 4 months ago. We've got 3 more songs that are mostly done. He's finishing up the mix on a new one called One More Night. So that'll come back to me, and I'll do the mastering for it. And we have another three or four songs that are mostly done. So as we finish, they'll go to Ian. He'll do a final mix, send them back to me, and I'll do the final master.
Cool. So we've got a question from Aussie Queen of the Rose. She asks, who would you like to do a dream collaboration with?
Wow. I've always loved Queensryche, and Jeff Tate is one of my heroes. So I'd kill to do a little collaboration with those guys, or Iron Maiden. I'm a huge Bruce Dickinson fan. So, you always kind of love the idea of sitting in for your heroes. So if I could sit in for Jeff Tate, or if I could sit in for Bruce Dickinson, that would be awesome. But, to be honest, I couldn't be happier working with the guys I'm working with. Like, a lot of these guys are dream come true collaborations. Steve Klatt is an incredible musician. Ian Poole, incredible musician. Justin Whole40 from Storm Kingdom is just outrageous. The stuff these guys come up with. Tom McElman, he and I have the Boo McElman project. These guys are just incredible. And, I've been lucky too to be working with Randy Nitch, who's a guitarist from Voodoo Mirage. Randy and I have known each other for probably at least 30 years. And we had a band together 26 years ago, maybe 27 years ago. So getting to work with him again has been just absolutely fantastic. So I'm really lucky.
Cool. Thank you for that, Ozzy. We've got a question from Gia, and she asks, when did you know you wanted to become a vocalist? Who was your biggest supporter?
I knew when I was probably like 6 years old. I had a cousin who was a drummer in a band. He was in high school, and I was 6, 7 years old, hanging out at my aunt and uncle's house, and they'd be practicing in the basement, and I was always getting in the way. And, they'd have to move me like, Joe, come on, get out of the way, because they'd be practicing. And I knew this is something I want to do. So my cousin actually gave me my first mic when I was 13. And I started singing in bands in high school and performing live at the same time, and never looked back. So it's kind of been in my DNA all my life.
Cool. Thank you for that, Gia. So when's the next sort of like release for the next?
I have 6 new songs coming out in the next 5 weeks. The new song that you just got, Serial Killer, that comes out in 2 weeks. I've got a new Voodoo Mirage song that comes out this coming Friday. That's called Out of Control. It's kind of about gangs and street violence. Serial Killer comes out after that. I've got a song that I just did kind of a cameo appearance. I sang during a bridge before the solo, and then at the coda heading out of the song for MX the American and Storm Kingdom, a collaboration that they've got. I have believe it or not, a country song that I did with Brian Wellen, who's just an awesome guy. It's called The Devil Rides a Harley Now, and that comes out on the 20th of February. Then I've got a song that comes out on the 26th with Steve Klatt called Runaround, and then another one on March 6th with Tom McElman and Elaine J called Always Wonder Why. And we haven't nailed down a date yet, but I also have a song with an unnamed project as of yet, but it's with the guys from Dashing Skull Club. And we haven't given it a name yet, but the song is called Broken in Pieces, and that should probably be coming out the second week in March.
Cool. Would there be videos to accompany all the songs?
Yes. Actually, there's a video I don't know if it's completed yet for The Devil Rides a Harley Now. There's already a video that's been done for Aphrodite Sigh, and that's the song with MX the American and Storm Kingdom. And then the others, some may have videos and some won't. Some will just have cover art video that'll be available on YouTube.
Cool. Now, is there going to be any sort of like merchandise for any of the projects, or is it just like concentrating on the music?
Yeah, really kind of concentrating on the music. You and I have talked about this, we've been talking for a couple of years, and merchandise has always been a thing that's difficult for me, only because I don't do any live stuff anymore. So, trying to promote merch is hard without a live performance. People buy merch at a show. And because a lot of the stuff, almost everything that I'm distributing is through streaming only. I do on a few of the projects, we do manufacture CDs, so then I'll make those available. But so for the most part, most of my focus has just been on music.
Cool. Well, sort of like staying on the sort of like merchandise. You said the odd time you produce CDs. Would they be any sort of like plans for vinyl?
You and I have talked about this too. If I have a project that once it goes to CD, if there's enough interest in CD purchases and people let me know, hey, we'd love to have this on vinyl, because you can do short run vinyl. I could do 100 albums on vinyl, and if I've got enough people who are interested in it, then I'd absolutely love to do that, because to me, there's nothing that sounds better, and there's nothing that's cooler in your hands than having an LP. I mean, you and I are, we're old school guys, so I love LPs, and even if for no other reason but just have it in your hands, having the artwork, having everything that goes along with it. But really, and the sound is always warmer. It's just nicer, that needle on a record sound.
Yeah, especially when you got the record on and you actually look at all the artwork, the lyrics, everything about it.
It's the whole package. Yeah, it's the whole package, because you get all the artwork, you get inserts, you get lyric sheets and everything. So I love that.
Yeah, cool. We've got another question from Gia. She asks, for you personally, is making music more about understanding yourself or about communicating something to others?
It's always more about communicating something to others. I know for a lot of artists are kind of troubled, and it's an outlet for them emotionally. I got to be honest, I'm a really lucky person. I'm a really, really lucky person. I've always been very happy. So music for me, it's a lot of, and I say this because a lot of the musicians that I work with suffer from PTSD, from past experience, being in the military, those types of things. So music really is an emotional outlet for them. But for me, a lot of it just stems from when I hear a piece of music, it tells me a story. So it's always been really important to me in the writing process to try and translate that story into lyrics and melodies. So, and that's why I'm really happy that most of the guys I work with, they don't have any preconceived notions. Although, depending, like if they wrote the song with a particular thing in mind, either a feeling or a time or an event, then I'll try to stay true to that. But the music almost always tells me the story. And so, yeah, for me, it's not necessarily an emotional outlet as it is the opportunity to tell the story that the music tells me.
Cool. Jay has just said that is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, we've got another question from Jaya. She asks, what have been some of the most memorable or exhilarating listener reactions to your music so far?
Well, because I've been really connected to a lot of people in the indie community. I think indie artists relate to music more than the average person does. I can tell you, I've been doing this for 40 years, and it's tough for me to get my family to listen to my music. Even my friends will say, "Oh yeah, good song, good song." But the people who seem to connect to it most are other musicians, and like Steven Anderson, who's in Burlos Band. One song in particular that I did with Voodoo Mirage called "You're Not There," and it's about losing the one that you love. It's about a guy kind of sitting at home, watching the shadows grow in his apartment, realizing that the woman he loved left him, and so he really connected with that song. And I've had that happen with a number of songs. Another Voodoo Mirage song is called "Left in the Middle," and the reason it's called "Left in the Middle," it's about a really good friend of Randy Nitch's. He's the guitarist who died about 15 years ago. He was a singer for a little while, and so he left in the middle of life. And I have a number of friends who that song was really kind of poignant for. They lost a friend right around the time that the song came out. So they said they really connected to it.
Thank you for that, Jay. For people who obviously this is the first time they've seen you, where can people find you on social media?
Well, unfortunately, I got kicked off of Facebook, which I talked about last time. So I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I'm on TikTok. I'm on X. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Indieverse. I'm also on IndieTown, or I'm sorry, My Indieverse. I'm on IndieTown, and I've got a YouTube channel for every one of my bands. And if you go on any of the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, all of them have my music. So, and there's a lot of different bands that you find me under. Switch Flame, Voodoo Mirage, Joe Booe and the Dog, 7 Months, Strychnine, Michael Ray Band, Rain of Fire. I do a lot of stuff with Storm Kingdom, with Boo McElman, which is under either Joe Booe or Tom McElman. Steve Klatt. So Steve Klatt and I have done a lot of collaborations. I've done stuff with Entropy in Motion, Mechanic A, the Fods, Burlos Band, and now Burlos Brotherhood is another band you can find me under. So there's a pretty long list. I've released it's 103 songs now. So you can find me all over the place.
Cool. I know you don't do live shows anymore, but
Right.
if the opportunity comes up, would you do a tour again?
I'd love to. And as a matter of fact, I'm starting to make arrangements to try and I want to make sure Ian and I can play it's being called Woodstock, WOODSTALK. Instead of Woodstock, it's Woodstock, because this is the follow-up to the Punk in the Corn Festival from last year. So like a corn stalk. It's going to be in August, and it'll be somewhere in Iowa. So I actually just found out some of the details today. So I need to get in touch with Tim from EWL, because he's once again the one who's putting the whole thing together. So that'll be the kind of the initiation of playing live again. Ian and I have talked at length about the possibility of touring. So we'll probably try and put something together once the album is done.
Cool. We've got another question from Gia. Gia, you're coming up with some of these questions.
Yeah,
which is really good.
Keep them coming.
Yeah. She asks, if there were no limits at all, time, budget, or logistics, what kind of project would you love to try next?
I'm a dyed-in-the-wool metal guy, so that's kind of always where my heart's at. If I had the opportunity, though, there are so many great artists in the indie community, and Tom McElman has kind of been pushing me to do this for quite a while. I always end up collaborating with other established artists, but I haven't done my own project yet. And so he has said, what you need to do is kind of like a Brian May and Friends thing. If I could, and if I had the means, I would probably pull all my favorite musicians together to do an album of my choosing, all metal, and have the guys that I really love jamming with, like Steve Klatt, Justin Holforty, Tom McElman, Randy Nitch, have each of them, instead of us working in the direction of the existing direction that those bands are already operating in, kind of a little bit more of the metal feel and taste that I have.
Cool. Thank you for that, Gia. We sort of spoke about this before. So for those people who just newly joined, have you got any advice for people who want to become a musician?
I can remember when I started, when I was a teenager, and I'm sure it was god awful. I'm sure it was just terrible, But if this is something you really want to do, it's like anything in life where you have to do the grind, go through the hard part of not being very good until you get good, and you fake it until you make it. And I think if you really have a passion for this, who cares if you're not very good at first? Just keep plugging away, because there is nothing more rewarding than playing in front of an audience that appreciates what you're doing. There's nothing more rewarding than somebody telling you that your song connected with them. There's nothing more rewarding than people buying your stuff and saying, God, man, I can't wait until the next album comes out. So don't ever give up on it, because this is, to me, I think it's or at least to me it is. It's the most satisfying form of art that you can find because it can be experienced and enjoyed over and over and over again. A painting hangs on a wall and eventually you kind of forget about it. A sculpture collects dust, occupy space either outside your house or, outside a building or in your house. But music you listen to in the most emotional points in your life, and more often than not, it either puts you in a better place or it just brings back the memories that you're looking to recapture. So to me, it's the most indelible art there is. So don't ever give up on it because it's really critical.
Yeah, true. Sound advice there, and yeah, I think a lot of people can actually connect with what you just said there. With brings back music does bring back a lot of good memories.
Right.
So thank you for that. Got another question from Gia. She asks, when practicing a song, when do you know you have perfected it?
Ooh, boy. It used to be back in the day when I was playing live all the time. I would practice a couple times a week with the guys. We'd play out a couple times a week. We did like kind of quad state tours when I was in Chicago. When I was in the West Coast, we went all up and down the coast. So we practiced a lot. So you got to play a song a couple thousand times even before you went in the studio. So you perfected it just through live performance. Now it's a very different animal. I'm writing and recording at the same time. So, sometimes it's a couple takes and the song is close to done. I would love to have the time and the means to really dedicate, 1,000 reps to a song before I released it. But at this stage in the game, especially because I'm trying to put out a lot of music before my voice finally gives out on me because I'm almost 61 years old. I would say probably by the 10th time, it's probably there, and I know it's probably about as good as I'm going to get it.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for that, Gia. Gia has said, wow, a couple of thousand.
Back in the day, I was playing out all the time. I was practicing all the time. I drive around, and back then it was cassettes. So I'd be driving around with a cassette of, a rehearsal tape, and I'd be listening to the songs and singing with them over and over again. So they were so committed to memory. I couldn't sing them wrong if I tried.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for that, Gia. So we're going to be starting to wrap things up.
Okay.
So if you've got any final questions, guys, in the chat, get them in now because we're going to be wrapping things up. So, Joe, have you got any final thoughts before we go?
Well, if any of you have not found any yet, please try to, because I'll tell you, aside from me wanting you to hear my songs, I want you to hear the guys and gals that I work with. I'm lucky. I'm getting to work with some of the very best musicians in the entire indie community. And I've been doing this for 40 years. And I can tell you that musicianship at this stage in my life, the people I'm able to work with are the absolute best I've ever seen and ever heard. So people like Steve Klatt, Randy Nitch, Justin Holforty, these are Ian Poole. These are people you want to hear their music because they're incredible. So if you haven't found it yet, please do a deep dive. Listen back to the show and hear the names of the bands and go search them out, like Switch Flame and Voodoo Mirage and Storm Kingdom and the Steve Klatt Project. All really worth your time. Great music, and I'd love to have you hear what we're doing.
Cool. We've got a final question from Lisaboo. She asks, do you have a favorite music experience?
I'd say, because it's almost like losing your virginity, right? That time is what you remember the most. And for me, it wasn't necessarily the first show, but it was the first recorded media that I sold. I'd already done like a 4-song EP with Strychnine, but we did a CD release party, and it was at a big place called the Riviera Theater in Chicago, and the place seats a couple thousand people, and it was jam-packed. And we did our CD release party there, and it was on the radio. It was in the Illinois Entertainer, which is kind of like the local music rag. So we had a big full page ad in the Entertainer. it was, you know, and after the fact, I ended up doing other bigger things, but that was the first real introduction into like being a rock star kind of thing. You know, it's a big stage, huge crowd, and selling our CDs. I was signing, you know, signing autographs, signing girls' boobs, you name it. I mean, it was all craziness, and it was so that was maybe the single greatest music experience, just because it was the first time I got to see that and feel that. You know.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you for that, Lisa. So, Joe, we're going to be wrapping things up. So, thank you so much for coming on and doing this little interview. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure, buddy. I love getting on and talking. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, guys, in the chat, if you haven't checked out Joe's music, I've put the link down here for YouTube down in the description, and I know the mods have been posting out the YouTube channel. So go check him out. He's absolutely brilliant. Go check him out. So, Joe, again, thank you so much.
Yeah, Al, thanks for everybody who came in. Appreciate it.
So, guys, until next time, catch you all later.